What's up, guys? Hello. Happy holidays to you. My dear friend, Felicia Spencer. How are you, Fee?
Doing great, doing great during the holidays. How you doing?
I can see it back there. I can see some Christmas stockings
Yeah.
still up. I like it. I'm in it. I was with Hannah Goldie last night or a couple nights ago, whenever we kind of put this out there. We are. This is going to be a 2021 year in review. Let me click that button. There you go. And one thing we talked about is, it's so funny. I saw that behind you. When is the date? Like, when do you have to put away the Christmas stuff? Like, I'm a Christmas guy, I'm a holiday guy, but sooner or later, you don't want to, like, January 10th. You're too far. You're too long
Yeah.
away. The kids are like, what's going on? There's got to be a date, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for like whenever it makes sense, like for sure by the 10th. I mean, that's a little far for us. Like we didn't celebrate with Addie until the 26th, so that
Okay.
we actually didn't even put anything out until like the 22nd.
Oh, wow.
We were just busy. We didn't have a tree or anything out, but it was like who cares? But yeah, so it's staying out this week, and then we're driving up to Illinois, and then when we get back from Illinois, we'll go ahead and just put it all away. So I guess it'll be like January 7th by the time we get down to it,
Wow.
but we won't
Okay.
be here for that, for
Right.
that week. So,
Right.
um,
With this weekend, with New Year's Eve, and Friday's New Year's Eve, and then Saturday's New Year's Day, like I told my wife, I was like, kind of at the end of the weekend, Monday-ish, when the kids probably go
yeah,
back to school and kind of go to daycare. I'm like, that's when we need to let the Christmas stuff go. That's my
yeah,
take. And
it's
that
fine.
second, third
I'm
take.
ready. I'm ready. If it all disappeared overnight, that'd be fine with me.
A magical cleaner. Yeah, where's
Yeah.
Buddy the Elf when you really need him? Like, clean up, Elf. Come on. But we're here today. 2021 was such to me, like a really. We're gonna look back 3 years from now, and it's like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's gonna be like, wow, that all happened this year. A lot of humongous moments, a lot of polarizing moments, a lot of really big, intriguing stuff. So much to talk about. And, I don't want to go back and forth and be like, hey, my favorite fighter is this and your fighter is this. Like, I just wanted to be big and broad and open. So when I ask you, someone who's in it and just left it I do want to mention that at the very end of the show, just kind of left it competition wise, but still in it and watching it and picking it and calling it. Eagle FC, cannot wait to see you on that. If I say 2021 in a nutshell of all of MMA, all of combat sports, even, what's the thing that kind of jumps at you right away? What's the name or the moment or what 2021, Felicia Spencer?
Yeah, I mean, aside from my own like personal experiences in fighting, like the event in Jacksonville, I was there. You were there.
Yes.
That's the one that pops out, like
Yes.
that keeps coming to mind. Like all of my favorite, knockouts and moments, or a lot of them are from that event, just because I was right there, just a few rows in, experiencing it live. So it was definitely fun. So that's what 261.
261.
The headline was Usman and Masvidal for reference. Definitely a huge card. It was the first card with uh, a sold out crowd, right? Or like a
Yeah, yeah,
first full audience, right?
yeah.
So
Audience
that was
period.
like
Yeah.
very highly anticipated, like first audience back from COVID. So yeah, huge. That was the biggest one for me for sure. What about you?
I'm so with you on that. I got something kind of, you're gonna like, oh, Dave, really? I'm gonna go there in a second, but to kind of bow 261, I'm with you. Is the fans, and I don't think people realize how much the outsiders in a way brings to the fight game itself. Like, imagine if every event was at the apex and every kind of walkout didn't have the crowd there, every kind of the weigh-ins. I was there for the weigh-ins the night before, and it was insane. And I remember, like, kind of I think I told this story before. I'm a Masvidal guy. Masvidal got a huge crowd reaction. I was like, oh, awesome. And
Oh
kind of,
yeah.
it's weird that Usman's a little bit of the bad guy and all of that, but whatever. So, like, I was like, that's cool. But nothing compares when Rose Namajunas, that I had no idea, like, Weili's this sweetheart. She's a champion. She's kind of dominant. Like, to me, she was really popular before that. She comes out, gets booed, and Rose gets cheered like it's Hulk Hogan 1985. It was like, I was like, whoa. So then during the fight itself, Rose came out and the crowd was insane. Bananas, the kids might say. And then she gets the first round head kick knockout. And it was like, to me, that was like the moment of the year. like Rose Namajunas, Jacksonville, Florida, with fans was that moment of the year.
Well, that was definitely a big, like, it was a huge moment. And for me, that one, the way that it wasn't like a clean, I'll say it, not a clean knockout, the way that Usman fell, like Wiley was getting back up, or like the controversy a little bit kind of not like tarnished it. It made it more interesting of a moment for sure. But it, like that always, like, I always kind of feel bad for Wiley because she felt like it was stopped and she could have kept going, even though I totally agree it was a good stoppage.
Yeah. And then Weidman with the leg happened that night.
Oh my God. I don't know if I ever said, like, we were there and that was a moment that I didn't see live. Thank God. Cause I was fighting like 3 weeks later and that kind of stuff. I was all, I don't want to see that like right before I fight. Like, what if in that fight, I was very kick heavy in my training camp, like all about the kicks, So, I was with Todd and we went up to get like a drink, or he went to get a drink and I went with him. And thank God we were just walking around in like the upstairs area, like in the whatever. And then the crowd went crazy and it was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then we saw Weidman down and we're like, oh my God, he just got knocked out. And then we realized what really happened with his leg. And we're like, oh my God, thank you so much for not having me sit right in front of that and watch that leg kick, watch his leg explode. That would have sucked right before the fight. So it was bad enough in that same card a couple fights earlier. Jimmy Crute was fighting Anthony Smith, and I was right behind his corner, and we see him like sitting down, and his knee is like falling out of place. It's like we can see the wobble in his leg, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to see that."
I know. I'm so bad at that too.
It was already so bad just seeing that, like his leg just wobbling out, and then the fight was stopped anyway. But
and I think I said this as well. The Chris Weidman moment, and I was really close as well. We were so lucky. We had floor seats. Fight Banana said, like, we had floor seats and we had up seats, and we were kind of moving back and forth. It sounded like a baseball bat, like a whack, like a lightning strike. It was so loud and so visceral, and of course, at the first moment, you don't really know what happened. Like he hits him, and you're watching the live, and it's really weird because like the ring and the cage is there. It's kind of sometimes like hard to see very details. So he falls back and it's like, whoa, what kind of happened? So you have to watch the first time on the big Jumbotron. And that's when the leg do this. And then see him plant back on it. And it's like, it's one of the most disturbing sights you've ever seen in your life. I don't think I've watched it back since. Like being there live, I never like went home and YouTube Chris Weidman. Never did it.
Yeah, I don't think I like seeked it out at all. No. Similar to like the similar thing happened to Conor this year. So it was like a year of really hazy.
He's coming up. He's coming up. All right. So before Conor. So I just want to throw this out there because I want to get it out there and probably hopefully be done with it. But I do think in a weird way, we need to bring him up with the year of 2021. And that's Jake Paul. I know it sounds crazy. Like, we're going to look back years from now and be like, good or bad, whatever. But he was huge this year, like just humongous moments. Woodley not once, but twice now. And now with like this vicious knockout, which is like this viral thing. I know it sounds crazy. And I know people are going to be super upset. Like Jake Paul was a big part of combat sports this year in 2021.
For sure. And the cool thing about it, or the whatever, is, at the beginning of the year, everyone hated him. And I was definitely like down on him. I was like, why give him any attention? I didn't like talking about him or whatever. Cause, not our sport. He's not like experienced, blah, blah, blah. Like build yourself up. But then he started to really like make sense. And started to make sense in some of the things he said. Not everything, obviously. I don't agree with like all of the antics and stuff and the way that he, presents himself all the time. But that's okay. Like not everyone has to do everything the same way. And I feel like by the end of the year, or by like September or October, he started to become like half of the community was like, no, I kind of get what he's saying. And then like at this point, it's like I feel like most people are like, okay, well, I don't hate the guy. Like, he's fine. Let him do his thing, I do wish he wouldn't call out people still under contract with the UFC, but it's like part of his thing. So why not go for it? Like, whatever you want to say, it's fine.
Felicia, I love that you said it on a ultra trendy, popular podcast called the Dave Van Auken Show. The last episode, I kind of like talked about some year stuff and talked about Jake Paul for a little bit. And that was like the you know me, I'm not that guy. Oh, Jake Paul defeated Ben Askren in March. And then it's just not my shtick. I don't like it. I like to horizon it and have stories and theories. And like my thing was, my belief in the next 4 months, 8 months, 10 months, 2 years, whatever it is, I think the masses will really start to reverse their sides with Jake Paul. I think he's going to become more of a baby face, if you want to say, more of a good guy, more of a Clint Eastwood, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to, call him. I just think that at the end of the day, he's like creating jobs and opportunities and monies. Amanda Serrano, who fights underneath, like loves him to death. Like she's like, this is the 2 biggest paydays I ever had. And both of them, I was the co-main event for Jake Paul. And it's just like, at the end of the day, commentators are making money. Media people are making money. They had a huge show in Tampa. People went out and had fun at Tampa, going to see it. Tyron Woodley has made a lot of money via Jake Paul. So it's like, same thing. There's some antics I don't like. And there's some things, to call out Masvidal. And it seems like right now the fight that's bet on what's going to happen next is Anderson Silva, another old guy. Like, why can't you fight someone who's 26 in his prime, just like you, Jake, one time? But overall, like at the end of the day, like he does more good than bad. And
for sure,
no one knows what other people are doing in their own time and their own secrets in their own bedroom and their own stuff. Like I can only judge on what he's kind of showing us. And some things, I don't like. Some things are too crazy and out of hand. My favorite fighters are Poirier and Holloway and Spencer, like just like great people, down to earth people, just really hardworking, grind fighters. And that's what I am attracted to. But there's some things that Jake does that's like, that's not that bad, guys. Like, he's not that bad of a dude.
Yeah. And again, like you said, it's creating the drama that the sport needs a little of that, So not everyone can just be like me or be like, Poirier or be like whoever. Like, I'm not like a saint or anything. But, I think it makes it interesting. And, you need a little mix of the personalities. So he's doing it all right now. I hope he doesn't try too hard in the next year to keep a certain shtick. I hope he just does his own thing and doesn't get too cringy, because it's not cringy right now. That would be, you don't want to go the Henry Cejudo route, right?
Right. I agree. Like,
but same thing with Henry, the way Henry is still in the media.
Yeah.
Because everyone just listens to whatever he says because it's like you either love it or you hate it. And it's still the same idea. I was talking to Henry at Eagle FC about it. I was like, we were talking about the cringiness. I was like, it's perfect. Like you made everyone care about you and your division. And like,
what did he say about that?
Good for you to have to be able to have that with a straight face, because I'm pretty positive that it's mostly just fabricated,
Right. I was going to say, did you kind of talk to him about it or did you like he
was like, what do you like kind of talk about what I think of it? And it's like exactly what I said. Like it's something that's necessary. And if you can pull it off, more power to you, good for you. It's good for your career. And he's still in the news once in a while, talking about fighting Alex and stuff like that. Like whenever he tweets, people talk about it. So
I'm telling you. So I think this is for Felicia Spencer in 2022. Like when you get on the mic, when you do commentary, you should be a total heel. You should be a total bad guy. Like, that girl, I would have done it way better than her. She wasn't that good at all. Someone's getting grounded, pounded. You would be like, dude, why don't you just flip positions and just dominate? Like, what are you doing? You should just be like
just get up.
Yeah.
Classic Derek Lewis, right?
Why are you leaving it to the judges? What's that about?
Right.
The exact opposite. But all right, so we mentioned, to me, I thought the moment of the year as well. I agree with you. 261 as a whole, fans back, Jacksonville, Florida, Usman Rose, other Valentina Shevchenko was amazing on that card as well. We mentioned Jake Paul. All right, so then I have this in my notes as well. This was like a huge thread of the year. It started in January, and then the big event was in July, and then Dustin even won those two. So then he went and just fought a couple weeks ago in December that lost. And that's another kind of storyline as well. But is the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier storyline? It seemed Conor went total bad guy Conor. That January, I didn't mind it. It was okay. So I thought people thought Conor went too far in January. Like he was too nice. Maybe, but I didn't mind it. If that's who, at the end of the day, I think you have to be who you are. And he is more of a dad now, and he is kind of rich, and he did lose that eye of the tiger kind of thing to him. So I'm like, that's who Conor is. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
And then he lost. So then I think he had to turn up the volume too much. And July was tough. I thought it was tough to watch. I thought he went too far, attacking the wife. And it was just like, it was irchy. It was screechy. It was very cringy. And it was tough.
Yeah.
But Poirier won both times. So I thought that was definitely a thread of the year.
For sure, yeah, and the salty level of it, like after the fight, just was too salty for me. But yeah, that was a big story, and it like with Conor, the storyline just continues even when he's not active. I mean, he's been injured and he's still in the headlines, you know. So it's like what is next for Conor? You know, what is he? I don't even know when he's going to come back. Is he going to come back before the summer? Like, it's still like everyone has all these theories for him, but it's like a big mystery. But who do you think he would be fighting when he does come back?
I would predict early summer, late spring, like maybe the May or June for Conor. I would think that would be his time. My prediction, and I know people are going to be so upset about this, when the champion, Charles Oliveira, is now calling his name, Dana White loves to print money. I think he's going to come back and fight Oliveira. I really do. I think he's skipping Poirier. I think he's skipping Nate Diaz. I really would love if he fought, I hate saying this, just a normal guy, like a Dan Hooker. Like, that would be super cool. Like, just a Darush, like a Marab, like give someone, that spotlight to kind of really elevate someone to the next level. But they're not doing that. They probably know deep down inside he's got 2 left, 3, and he's probably got, if he goes out there and fights Benny Darush and gets smoked, like you can't bring Conor back. Like, you just can't. The guy's lost. He's been a topic for some reason for the last 2 weeks. Like, the guy's got 1 win in 5 years. I'm kind of done hearing about Conor. I really am. Like, I'm over it. I was kind of a defender for so long, and now I'm over all this noise. And it's if you can't back it up in the octagon, sooner or later it's just white noise. It just really is. So I think he's going to fight Oliveira, and I think the UFC knows that it's one huge payday. It's kind of when they pulled Ronda Rousey back one more time for Amanda. I really do. I think it's one more.
I feel like they would go the Poirier route. I really do, because Poirier lost to the title, right? He lost to Oliveira, and Conor was yelling for it, and they have that whole story and the way that the last fight ended.
Wow.
As much as I wouldn't like after that fight ended, it was like the last thing I wanted to see. But knowing like they're both coming off of a loss now, that I think it's still a big money fight. You know, I feel like going the Poirier route would be better than Nate Diaz, because Nate's kind of been out. I know he fought Belal this year, but it wasn't really memorable, I don't think, as much as it should have been, I guess, for a Nate Diaz fight. But yeah, I'm going to say that I think the timeline is right, but I'm thinking they're going to go with Poirier. I would like them to build someone else up, like a Dariush, or even give it to Chandler. He's coming off of a loss, right? So something like that, a big fight like that. But I think they would go Poirier.
Wow, that's big. That's big. I like that. And he's always talking about 170. Like, there's so much happening in that 170. Like, I know people don't want to hear this, but I would love Conor versus Belal Muhammad. I would love Conor versus Vicente Luque. These are like stud fighters, but they don't have that following or that gimmick or that big thing. Like,
how crazy would it be to have Conor versus Wonder Boy?
Wow.
I never even thought about that, but that'd be a cool fight, you know?
That'd be a great fight.
Would Conor be taking a shot in that fight?
Wow.
That would be so cool, you know?
It would be, and to kind of like to throw it, I would assume that we would see a finish in that fight. It would be really exciting. It would be this beautiful stand up with Conor being the lefty and, throwing more punches than probably Wonder Boy would. It would be interesting. That's what I mean. Like, if you have Conor for a couple more, like we've seen Dustin 3 times, we've seen Nate twice, like it would just be awesome. Give me Wonder Boy. I love that fight. I love it.
Let's start a hashtag for Conor versus Wonder Boy.
I start it. I like it. There we go. Felicia Spencer bringing the big bucks. Man, you should be doing this for a living. That's it. You're Soon.
Fantasy matches.
Okay, so Conor. Okay, then we go into Dustin. I really thought Dustin had a chance to be fighter of the year, beating Conor twice, then Oliveira at the end. He didn't get the
He
job
would have been. Yeah, he would have
and
been.
I'm it's really weird, and I know we shouldn't be like this, and especially on this side, but that's just who I am. I kind of have my heart on the sleeve. I wanted Poirier to win bad. I thought it'd be such a bow to not even the year, not even his career, just like his life. I know that might sound hyperbolic or huge. It would just be such a beautiful ending to this journey that he's been on for 20 years. You know how long it takes to grind, and he didn't get the job done. So I'm just kind of like deflated by that, but still he was a huge talking point for the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of think about it, like Charles is kind of the Poirier who never fought Conor. Like he is that kind of guy too. Like he grinded all those years and seems like a nice guy. We don't see as much about his story because he's not from here and this and that. But I mean, he definitely seems like a good guy that's like really coming to his own and being the champion. Like I think he's got to be up there, like probably top 2 fighter of the year for me. Like Oliveira. I mean, especially beating Poirier, like that was a good guy fight. So, I mean, another one that comes to mind that it wasn't a champion was Max. Just the performances that he's had, right? The performances that's another one for me.
The kind of guys I had for fighter of the year fee was, to me, Usman is it. I think Usman, he defeated Burns, Jorge at UFC 261. Then he defeated Colby Covington. 3 welterweight championship title defenses. To me, 3 guys that will probably go into the UFC Hall of Fame in Burns, Colby, and Jorge. I think that was a great run. I think Usman is it. But the 3-4 people I had Max Holloway. I had Christopher Curtis, 6-0 in MMA, 2-0 in the UFC with 2 big underdog wins. I had Sierra Gond kind of down here. I also had Julia Pena, who, 2 wins, but I can argue the biggest female win in the history of the sport. Like, is that too crazy, or is that kind of on par?
I would think Holly beating Ronda, but it's on par. Yeah, okay. It's not a crazy statement by any means. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely earned that to be in that conversation. The other ones for me, Usman is up there, but I don't know. Well, he did knock out Masvidal. That was probably the knockout for me of the year was Usman. I feel like the fighter of the year, I want like that personality and like that likability factor too, but it's not really fair to put it in that kind of category. So, I can see where you're going with that. I think I would still go with Charles just because he was such an underdog the rise being instead of maintaining the highness, he was like coming up this year.
Yeah.
So just that little difference too. But yeah, I like your picks. As far as females, I mean, also, another one is like, well, I guess one that we're more looking forward to next year probably is like Kayla Harrison, right? That name always has to come up.
It's funny because then it is weird. Do we do just UFC or do we do all of MMA? There's kind of sometimes a weird little thing there.
Yeah.
Kayla's a stud. Another someone that we kind of didn't mention in that spot. I'll go there next, but back to your Oliveira. So he defeated Ferguson, but it was like December. It was kind of the last pay-per-view of the year, kind of what just happened. So in a weird way, like he fought Ferguson, Chandler, and then Poirier, and it was like in his year, but not like the calendar year because it was December to December.
I guess it feels like it's been a lot,
Right. And it's like if you bring that win in, because I remember when he fought Ferguson, he was the underdog. Like everyone thought Ferg he just lost to Gaethje. It was his first loss in a decade kind of a thing. And he like dominated. He destroyed Tony Ferguson, which is another topic for another time. Okay. So I think you and I are so in agreement of good guys, good people doing good things. And I am so happy for Charles Oliveira. I'm so happy for Brandon Morano. I'm so happy for Glover Teixeira. Like these are 3 guys that are just like good dudes, good people that have this tough journey, ups and downs, losses. You can lose in MMA, and to win the championship this year, all 3 of them, I thought was like kind of a weird thing. Kind of like it doesn't happen. Usually there's one. There's like this one magical championship run. This year there was 3, and it's kind of like it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, the underdogs became champions for sure. It was
out of those, who surprised you the most out of those three?
Surprising. Maybe as much as I picked him in my picks, maybe Glover, just because it's such a scary spot. You know, he's not in his like prime or whatever. You know, he's a little older. There's a lot more risk involved. And that was his last chance kind of thing, you know? So it was like, oh, this is it. You can't fight your way back basically to this opportunity. So that was definitely a big one. And I'm glad I picked him when I did, you know? Yeah, Moreno though, also with Figgy being as scary as he is, I mean, honestly, like having to fight him twice in a row, and this is they're doing the third one, right?
Yeah, that's in January. Yep.
So it's like this Brennan Moreno Figgy Figueiredo story has been like the entire year, it feels like, but longer than that, right? They fought in 2020.
So
and then
that's the funny thing too. So they fought in December of 2020, and then they
fought. It feels like it's been this year, right?
Yeah. And then they fought July or June when that Arizona card. I think it was like August, July or August. I think it was August. That's when Morano won the championship, and now they're fighting in January. So it's like 14 months, literally like 3 calendar years. Like he's 2020, 2021, and 2022. So they're going to fight in 3 different years.
Yeah, that's crazy that they haven't been able to be more active with, you know, with they've only fought once each year. Well, not each year. I know Figgy fought earlier in that year when he won the title, and he beat Benavidez that year twice.
Yeah, so remember that was the year the flyweights took off, and he beat Benavidez and Fight Island over the summer. Then he destroyed him in November. And then the July was supposed to be like a Sterling Jan, I think, or Sterling someone, and that fight got scrapped. So they needed the main event. It was like they were there in November. He wanted to go back to Brazil, and Dana's like, hey, stay here in the States. Stay here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So they made him versus Morano the next month for the pay-per-view championship match. And that's when everyone said it was kind of iffy. Like he just, you know, he cut so much weight and he was there for so long and he just wasn't himself. And that's why they said in a weird way he had that draw. And people were like, oh, he's, you know, he was kind of drained. Like he made that cut too soon.
Yeah.
But then he fought him again. Morano just like, I can't believe it's one of those that to me, that's the most surprising. That like I'll jump in there. Figueiredo to me was this dominant champion. He looked like this dominant champion, especially in the flyweights. It's kind of crazy that the lower weight classes, it seems like guys can be more dominant, like a Mighty Mouse or a Henry Cejudo, because they're that good. And it's weird. It's like they're that good, but they're like strong and big and dominant. And the heavyweights, the title, like the title just changes. Light heavyweights, you know, now every 4 months. So you have these dominant little guys, and I thought Figueiredo was the next one. And when Morano beat him, I was shocked. I really was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fair, especially his personality. It's so laid back. It's so nice and like geeky. So it's like, it's always mind blowing when those, you know, when those quiet, geeky guys it's just like, but it's just like jujitsu. Like you go to class and it's like always the, you know, like the dorkiest person in the room is probably going to whoop everyone's ass. So
I love it. Some other things I want to definitely will go by. We'll jump into females in a second. You kind of mentioned a knockout kind of a thing. I do want to throw out a couple knockouts were insane. How about Hagen versus Frankie Edgar? Remember that flying knee? That was his calendar year.
Push that out of my memory though.
Another crazy one was Yuri Prohazic, that spinning elbow.
Yeah,
that was to Dominic Reyes, right? Or Dominic Reyes.
It was, and then the way that it's a lot of the time the most memorable knockouts are more about how the opponent falls. You know, like
it's brutal.
The way that Dominic falls is like so memorable, or like Woodley in his fight here, you know, just face planted, and those are always. Or like when Nunes knocked out Cyborg, it was like that was a memorable fall more than the punch. Just like how your opponent falls is the most thing. Yeah, crazy stuff though. Crazy stuff.
The fight of the year, there was of course a ton of great fights, but it was, to me, there's no question. There's one thing, everyone's fighting for second place. It's Gaethje and Chandler, right? There's no second. All
right, well, to be fair, I guess I never saw that fight. So that's not my fight of the year, just because I never actually saw it and I went back and watched it. Because that was a week before my fight and I had to go get my workout in during that exact moment of time. Just that's how life works out.
Did you
But
lose a bet to someone with that fight?
maybe. So my fighting year is obviously Ortega and Volkanovski,
That's a good one
or
too.
Volkanovski and Ortega, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Great fight.
Yeah, it was like exciting. I was leaning. I mean, I was hoping Volkanovski would win, and I think he obviously did win. But it was such a battle. He was in trouble. He slipped out. This and that. I mean, I think he had a pretty overall dominant, but he had those moments of like, oh shit, like this could be the moment where he loses it. So that was definitely an exciting fight for me.
Another sleeper fight I love. There's two right here I'll throw out. Burgos versus Barbosa was an incredible fight. And then super early in the year, Orlando's Mike Davis versus Mason Jones. I don't know if you remember that fight. It was on Fight Island. It was early in the prelims. Go watch that fight back, folks. It was insane. Mason Jones versus Michael Davis. One of the best fights I saw in all year. It was awesome. So good.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and see it.
That was a good one. But Gaethje Chandler was incredible. It was so good. We had some friends over the house, and I know you're not allowed to do that anymore with a Ramadan coming or COVID bug coming again. That's another story for another time. But we had people just over watching, and we're eating cheese and crackers and drinking beer and just being normal people. And I remember there's a video my friend's wife was recording me because I'm standing up, I'm so giddy. I'm like a kid on Christmas morning, and that fight is just like these moments are like, that should be a knockout. That's a knockout. That's a knockout. And they're just throwing it all on the line. And I'm standing up, just running in place. It was the craziest fight. Just insane.
Insane.
Okay. We'll kind of wrap it up in a little bit. We'll wrap it up. Two questions. One, this is such a hard question. The hardest question I'm ever going to ask you. I'm going to put the coals to Felicia Spencer right now. And then the other question will be the normal us and have fun. But I guess my legit question, you ready?
Oh God. Am I? I don't know.
So, when are you going to fight Juliana Pena?
I almost just fell over. I'm done. I am expecting the next fight will be Amanda rematch. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dave.
So if Dana White calls you, Dana says, hey,
I mean, like I say, there's always a number that makes it worth it, but I doubt it. They're not going to pay me that number. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Wait, there's a chance. There's always
a number, but yeah, probably not.
and I don't know if people reached out to you or if they mentioned, it happened. And my second thought, it was 5 seconds. I was like, wow. First, it was shocked. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm watching this. I cannot believe, because it was she won in Amanda's ways. She went to war with Amanda throwing punches. And I'm like, so I was like, wow. Then my second thought was Felicia could take out Juliana Pena. That was my second thing.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
I mean, it would be a good fight. It would be cool. Maybe we'll do a grappling match one day or something.
Oh, right. Cool. Yeah. Then we'll go to Universal Studios again. We'll have to ride that awesome roller coaster again.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary.
It wasn't? Are you sure? Because I'll take that roller coaster all day. That was a great time.
It was a great time. So I do want to end with that. I kind of want to end. It was such a big moment. I don't want to say cool moment. It was, I guess, just big. It was a polarizing, huge moment. It got so much buzz afterwards. I saw you were on Ariel's show the week after, and it was just kind of, I think people in the game and in the fight game on the media side were just shocked about the leaving when you're at top. We talked about Jake Paul earlier, and we see Woodley. Imagine if Woodley, after the second time he beat Wonderboy Thompson and was the champ, was like, hey guys, I'm gone. I'm gone. Kind of the GSP. We joked about it there at Universal Studios. I'm like, I can't think of a lot of UFC, a lot of MMA fighters other than GSP and yourself. And I know people are going to try to bash me on it, but it's you're at the top of your game. You're easily the number one contender in your division, coming off of a win. The one loss was a split decision loss that you won, that you hurt your knee in. So I will always defend you on that one fight. And it's you're right there. You're at the top of your game. And you're no, for me and my family and just, mentally and physically and everything, you just, you walked away. And it's this polarizing moment. And to kind of be so attached to it and a part of it in a weird way, it was just it was I think I will think of 2021 of that moment mostly, at least for me.
Fair enough. I mean, it's definitely going to be obviously a big moment of my life too. But I'm glad we were able to announce that to the world at Universal in the way we did it. I think it worked out really nice.
Yeah,
so,
it was
the reception was a lot more positive than I ever would have expected it to be. So it was nice.
Are you still hearing stuff about it now? Month later, weeks later?
Not so much. No. Once in a while I'll run into someone or meet someone and they're like, so why, like they didn't really, look that far into why I retired. They don't listen to extra stuff, just the headlines like I do a lot of the time. So I have to kind of run that story again once in a while, but yeah, not much, mostly just like in person, face to face, meeting people. So
it's funny you say that. Sometimes like my wife should be like, oh, something. I'm like, darn, I did the podcast with the person for 18 minutes. It's all there.
I said on the internet. Come on, what's with you? I have like a second cousin that shared it and said that I retired from kickboxing. I'm like, well, thanks for sharing.
Close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're second cousins, right? We're not next.
Like we said, sometimes you and I talk to each other more than we talk to our own family. It's crazy. I'm so excited for next year. I'm so excited for 2022. Just even for for not even all of MMA and UFC and the stuff going forward, and Eagle FC, you kind of doing the thing with them, but just for the brand, for Fight Bananas and the show and the podcast. I can't wait for I'm doing this year. We're gonna get a board. We've already talked about it. We're gonna keep your picks. So we always talk about it. This year, we're going to start clean, and we're going to keep your picks. And what I kind of want to do, so I'm bringing this up on the spot. I should probably talk to you off air about it. So when you make your picks, I want you to make 2 picks for each show for ongoing. The first pick is still your phenomenal pick, kind of your underdog pick. Keep going with that. I think it's such brand with you and that will keep on going. It has to be someone who's a bet-in underdog. Then I want you to make a second pick, which is your absolute lock of the card. Can be main event, first fight of the night, could be a huge favorite, doesn't matter. It could even be the same pick. You could be like, hey, Dave, Glover Teixeira is the underdog in that light heavyweight championship match. That's my lock as well. Like, we're going to do something like that. We're going to keep stats and go back on it.
I like it. I pulled out my notebook today and I went back to, because I knew we started it this year. So I started a list. I went back and wrote like, my first pick was Max, and then I went through most of it and just picked who I remembered that I picked. But like I only got through like 2/3 of it, and the other ones I don't even remember. I don't have any clue who I picked. But I'm sure we can. I'm going to try to go back over time and have a full list of all the picks from 2021.
I love it. It's all there.
From what I counted, I was 14-10 of my picks. So I won 14 of them and lost 10 of them. But again, I was missing like 20 of them. So.
Because there's 52 weeks in a year. I think there was maybe a handful. There was like 3. Sometimes we even did I remember it was in Biloxi, Mississippi, and there was no Wi-Fi anywhere. We literally did a live. I'm at the pool in Biloxi. We still got the pick in. Every other pick is on audio version on the podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. So we'll definitely find and figure it out. But last year to me, like you went streaky. Like you would knock 3-4 weeks in a row. I'm like, dude, Felicia can't not win. Like she cannot pick it right. And then it'll go 1 or 2 weeks in a row. But like, this is what I think I want to give you like the props on and why I want you to kind of make 2 picks. Like you're picking an underdog. That is so hard. People don't realize how hard it is. It's not going to work
out for me. Statistically, I'm in a bad place here. I think it's still coming out on top with most of the overall picks, So
yeah,
it's one margin, but
Love it. 2022 around the corner, a couple of days away. Felicia, we appreciate you. We have so much love for you here at Fight Bananas. And we can't wait. Big year coming. Exciting.
What are you most excited about? One more question.
Okay, I'm going to go here. I think in 2022, they need to clean up the whole bantamweight with Jan and Sterling and TJ Dillashaw, Jose Aldo, who I literally just ran into at SeaWorld out of all places. So funny. like that needs to be cleaned up. Like they just had Hagen fight Jan, so he's kind of out of it. I just think Jan is so good, and he got so murky because, got disqualified and lost the title to Sterling, and it was just this kind of thing that was just not great. So I just want to have that cleaned up and polished, and by the end of the year, if it's Jan versus TJ for the title, let him fight for it, whatever it is. Have a couple fights. Like Jan should fight 2, maybe even 3 times next year. So to clean up that mess in the bantamweight division.
That's a great idea. I just hope the Omicron doesn't take over 2022. Oh, no. Hopefully we can have some live shows in other places pretty soon.
Oh, no. You said it. You said it out there. You said it on the podcast. It's out there. How about you? What's Felicia Spencer's prediction of 2022? What's something that's going to happen?
Ooh, let's say Beneil Dariush will fight for the title, something like that.
So you haven't beat him, Islam Makhachev.
Well, if he doesn't, he's going to still fight for the title by the end of the year.
I like it. I'm a Benny guy. I like him. He's such a.
I do too. Yeah. Maybe it'll be Islam beats Dariush, and then if Islam beats Charles, then Dariush works his way back to the title. I don't know. It's a tough. That's for sure the toughest division. So it's. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not part of it.
Man, Juliana Pena's. Man, I see 30-24 or no 30. Can't be 30-24. 50-44. Come on, 50-44. A complete humiliation. Oh, all right. We got nothing but love. That was a shocking win for Juliana Pena. Very happy for her and her family and her kid. It was a great win. It was the biggest upset of the year, biggest probably win of the year. It was a big moment. But all right, that's it. 2021. We tied it up. We put a bow on it. 42 minutes in. Felicia, appreciate your time. We can't wait. We'll see you in a couple weeks. It's UFC Vegas. I think it's 47. Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. It's going to be a great fight, great card, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays.